Good evening and welcome to Real Talk, where every Sunday night we offer insight, education, and resources to in home caregivers and those affected in their world. This is the children, the parents, and everyone who loves them. Our goal is to offer real life topics and real life learning through discussion and offering real solutions. Tonight, I'm very excited to welcome our guest, Stacey Wodin, who is a visionary and creator of Stellar Lifestyle Management. Welcome, Stacey. It's good to have you.
Thank you, Tanya. It's great to be here.
So you can read about Stacey and the amazing services that she offers in the feed because we're going to put her whole bio up there. And there will be links to her website, things like that, so you can find her. But tonight we're going to kind of talk about a variety of things around kind of the business, some of the business aspects of being a newborn care specialist, being a postpartum doula, and really kind of looking at what it takes to have support and marketing yourself as a professional in this industry. And before we kind of hopped on here, we were talking a little bit about the fact that many of us come into this industry with great intentions and lots of goals. And at the heart of it, our goal is to support families, but it's a business at the end of the day. And a lot of times, many of us get into this not really knowing very much about business. And so I'm really excited to talk to Stacey about this tonight because Stacey has very quickly built herself as an industry expert in this, in branding and social media, and really understanding a lot of things around business. So we're going to kind of dig into that tonight. But before we do, I'd like you to get to know Stacey just a little bit better. So Stacey, if you could maybe share with us a little bit about your background and kind of where you started and how you ended up where you're at right now.
Sure. So I am a career nanny of 20 years. At the last part of that 20 years, my trajectory was as a house manager. So I worked for high net worth and high profile families in Los Angeles. And then I got pregnant. And working with those types of families, it's long hours and they expect a lot. And I just couldn't see myself doing that. I wanted to be home and be home with my son. And so I took all the skills that I've learned over the years and turned it into a company that I'm my own boss now. So my niche, because I've been in the industry for so long, is nannies, newborn care specialists, postpartum doulas, and anything actually really servicing moms and new moms, because now as a new mom, I also understand that side of everything as well. So, as far as experience too, I'm an ambassador for the International Nanny Association. And I've run the largest LA-based Facebook group for nannies for the past 7 years. So I'm a mentor in the industry and have been for quite a while. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I know from my personal experience and watching you in a variety of settings, your knowledge around this topic is huge and it's growing all the time. I know that I've seen you be super dedicated to learning and continuing to grow. So I know you're going to have some really great stuff to share with everybody. One of the things I want to talk about, because this question comes up a lot, particularly for newborn care specialists and postpartum doulas, is having an LLC. Do I need to have one? What is it? What does it matter? So maybe tell us first, what is an LLC? And then let's talk about, do I need to have one? Does it matter?
Sure. So an LLC is a business. It's with the state, it brands you as a business. With the IRS, it brands you as a business. So you pay business taxes, you can take write-offs and things like that. I'm sure we're all used to hearing corporation as well. There's that level as well. When it comes to businesses, we don't need that as NCSs and postpartum doulas, and LLC works perfectly well. I will say the biggest part of an LLC and why you want one is it protects you. It has a level of protection that you do not get when you're a sole proprietor or working with your social, which honestly, you don't want to work with your social because you're 1099, so you need to have a business. Mm-hmm. If If, God forbid, you ever get sued in your business, the LLC protects you so they can't come after your personal assets, which is huge. If you own a home, you own your car, you have money in the bank, people can go after that if you don't have that business to separate you. So that's the main reason why you want an LLC. But not only that, but tax write-offs. Like you have more tax write-offs and more, things that you can do as far as tax-wise when you have an LLC versus just your own personal taxes.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, around the whole concept, so many times we get in the NCS and postpartum doula world, am I an independent contractor or am I an employee? And this is one of those things that if you were operating as an independent contractor, helps solidly establish that should the IRS question how you're doing things. Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct. I will also say, and I can't speak for every single state, but I've noticed that a lot of the agencies in California will not work with you if you don't have your LLC set up either. So that's another thing to consider if you ever wanted to work with agencies.
Absolutely. That's been my experience in other states as well, unless I'm working as an employee of the family, of course. So an LLC, it's pretty critical if you're going to have a business, right?
It is. Yes, absolutely.
So what about things like social media, having a website, things like that? Do those things matter? Is anybody looking for people there?
Well, here's the thing. You don't have to have those things, but you don't have as big of a reach if you don't. If you don't have those things, you're solely relying on either agencies or word of mouth. But if you have a website and you have social media, you have a larger net, like a bigger net to cast in order to get people that are outside of word of mouth and agencies to be able to bring clients in. So for social media, it depends on the platform you're on but your reaches could be millions, versus, not having that. As far as the website is just a great area for you to showcase who you are, what you do, the services you provide, testimonials and things like that. It's a great way to revert back on social media to say like, this is me and this is what I'm all about. But also if you had something like Google AdWords or SEO and things like that, you will come up in searches when people are looking for specific things as well.
Okay. And what other things are important around this? What other things can help in marketing? Because if you're an LLC, if you're your own business, you got to market yourself in some way, shape, or form. Word of mouth is great. And years ago, I used to pride myself on the fact that I got everything via word of mouth. That's just not how our world works anymore for the most part. So what other things can help newborn care specialists, doulas, and other people who are really trying to establish themselves, kind of market themselves and get out there?
Writing blogs and having those blogs shared or doing, collaborations with other people that do blogs. So therefore you're being shown on their platforms and vice versa. That's a huge one. It also helps with your SEO for your website. Now podcasts are huge. You can go on to podcasts and do things like that. YouTube videos, it can be instructional videos, informational videos, all that kind of stuff. Those are all different ways to market yourself. Even having like a freebie that people sign up for and do email marketing. Email marketing is huge as well. It just kind of depends on how you want to, make your business go. You don't need to necessarily do all those things. I would recommend picking 1, 2, maybe 3 at the most to focus on. Otherwise it gets too overwhelming.
Yeah, and as somebody who runs a business, I heartily agree. Looking at all of those things can be huge. And I definitely know I have the things that I prefer to do and not prefer to do. So if you are thinking about this kind of stuff, what should be in the content? What is it that they should be doing? Or should this be a sales tool? Should it be the whole, give away a ton of free content and people will come to you? Kind of what matters?
there's different ways to go about it from a marketing standpoint. You can give away a bunch of information, and truth be told, even if you're giving away a ton of information, people are still going to come to you because they don't want to do the work. They want to hire someone to do the work. I mean, I definitely, in the words of Tanya, I don't give away the farm, but give away enough information where someone you are in the light of being the expert and they want to call you for your services. So that's one way to go about it. The other way is you can do the salesy thing. I wouldn't recommend doing it all the time because you're going to turn it off. You're going to turn people off. Kind of like the whole MLM thing. Like people are really turned off about it because of the salesy stuff. There's a certain level of sales that you want to do, but you don't want to only be that way. The biggest thing is you are your brand and you're selling a service. So you need to tell your story as well as show your experience and what your experience did.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that experience is huge. You know, we were talking about that earlier, that's a big part of what I bring to the table for our company is my years of experience. And you bring your years of experience to what you're offering. Even if that experience doesn't come always in that first, in that same market, what you learned being a household manager carries over so much to the work that you do. And of course, what I learned taking care of babies obviously carries over into what I do. Yeah. So show your face, tell your story. What about things like making sure that you're handling this professionally by having contracts? Mm-hmm. I mean, we know from coming out of the nanny world, contracts are important. In this, when they're contracting with your business, it's equally as important, if not maybe even more important. Talk about that for us for a minute.
I would definitely say it's more important than if you're a nanny, because if you're a nanny, you're an employee of the household and you have a protection in that sense. You have laws that govern you as an employee. Owning your own business, yeah, there are laws, but there are a lot less of them and they're a lot more lenient. Those contracts protect you. You need to make sure that those contracts are ironclad. You have mutual NDAs versus one-way NDAs. And everything in between. Like really have a set of rules and you need to stick to it. Professionalism. It's important when you're owning your own business. You need to be professional because the fact is one of the negative things about social media is that someone could write bad things about you very easily. So you need to be professional at all times. But I would say that also bleeds into how you present yourself on things like online as well. Mm-hmm. Responding to people, especially in mom groups and things like that. Like it's all about professionalism.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It is for sure. And I get, hey, I should just get to be myself. I get that. And there are plenty of days where I feel the exact same way. But at the end of the day, when you run a business, everything you do online, even on your personal page, is viewed and looked at through the lens of your business. And that professionalism is huge.
Absolutely.
So have a good friend that you can call up and say what you'd like to say to.
Yes, that's exactly what I always told the nannies in my group is don't say negative things, use this as a tool to make friends outside of online that you can vent to.
Exactly. So what about things like insurance? Because if you run a business, that's a factor.
So insurance with newborn care specialist is a little tricky right now because there is no company that really does newborn care specialist insurance. Now there is postpartum doula insurance, but it's very specific about the parents are there. You can't be alone with the baby. So that is a problem. And it's, kind of excuse the way that I'm fumbling. It has to do with the fact that our industry is not really viewed as professional at this point, unfortunately, and we've come a long way, don't get me wrong. But so I always recommend general liability insurance and errors and omission insurance at the very least, just to have some sort of a protection in place until, there's an insurance for newborn care specialists or postpartum doulas that are more than just having moms standing right there with you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And depending too, if you're offering classes, then you oftentimes have to have event insurance as well.
Yes.
So it can get very expensive very quickly to get the insurance that you need. So, I always tell everybody, be sure of what you're getting before you are paying for it.
Yes.
And, so where would somebody find that kind of insurance, Stacey?
General admissions and errors and omissions and general liability. I say start with, if you have insurance on your home or car, like I would start there, see if that's something that company will give you with, the type of business that you're in. And if not, then there are lots of other companies. I noticed in a lot of the NCS groups, there's NCSs that say that they have insurance, that type of insurance through different companies. So you can always pull up, the feed, the search history, and look up those kind of companies and call them up. But make sure that you're very specific on what you do, because you don't want to run into a problem and then find out that that type of business is not covered. Mm-hmm. So you need to make sure that they really cover what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So this kind of work is a lot of work, and a lot of people work, everybody thinks, oh, a newborn care specialist, they make a lot of money. They do make a good wage, but they're also usually working just insane hours, right? So how important is it, if you're working those kind of hours, that maybe you look outside yourself for the support to get this kind of stuff done?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I do. That's my niche. I have NCSs as clients and who they work 24/7 and they're not able to get certain things done. And, for me, I do everything from helping with organizing files for them, virtually, because I'm remote, making appointments, paying bills, like anything and everything you can think of, like responsibility wise. For business stuff, it can be, making sure contracts are done or deposits are, brought in, and corresponding with clients. It just kind of depends on the level. It depends on the person, because some people want to kind of hand off everything and some people don't. So it just really depends. But having that type of support is really important. I mean, you need your business to keep going and you need your personal life to keep going as well. And there's certain things that you need to take care of on that level. And if you're working 24/7, you're not able to do that. You can't, it's hard to do some of that stuff in the middle of the night when the baby's finally sleeping. So having that type of support and having an assistant or a VA or someone like that to help you, I mean, it's important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I know a lot of newborn care specialists who are super busy, even if they're not trying to grow their business, just on a personal level, have that kind of support, because things can get really expensive if you miss bill deadlines and things like that.
Absolutely. Sure. Well, plus, if you ever want to rebrand or something, I had an NCS that I rebranded her recently. That's something that you can't do if you're working 24/7. You need the support.
Yeah. So. And you know what? Even if you're not working 24/7, if you're making a decent living, the reality is, if you focus on what you're really good at and you let someone else focus on what they're really good at, you usually end up doing better and making more money. And I call that staying in my lane. And I say, as long as I stay in my lane, I'm good. If I try and get out of my lane, I usually end up in a crash.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's kind of what my whole business is built upon, is helping, finally getting that to-do list done. And so that that person who I'm working for can really focus on their zone of genius and the things that truly matter in their life. So when you do have time off, you can focus on getting the sleep you need or the self-care you need or seeing your family and things like that. Not have to worry about all the other little tedious things, because that's what I would be doing for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, anything else that is super important that you'd like to share with our audience, Stacey?
Um, I think we talked about websites and all that stuff. I would say I want to kind of touch on social media a little bit more,
Right?
how important it is. And I've found a lot of people aren't using it correctly. And I know that's because social media, it's hard. It's hard to figure out. Like, that you have to have a strategy behind it. You have to have a strategy with your hashtags if you're using Instagram or something like that. Um, you need to give value in your posts, not just trying to sell information. You want to attract your ideal client. So I think you really need to figure out what that is too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot around it. Boy, don't I know. And it's not my favorite thing to do. So, it's good to have people like you that can help with that. Related to that, so if somebody was interested in maybe talking to you about helping them develop a strategy, that sort of thing, do you offer services on a variety of levels, or is it just, nope, this is what I do and that's it?
So when it comes to social media, I do offer a variety of levels. I have a discovery call with the client and see what they need, because there are different aspects, and I know some people do want to spend a little more time doing one thing or the other.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I have clients that give me full range and just give me, I do everything for them and they just kind of approve it. But then I have clients that, they want to do the engagement aspect, or they want to help, they want to write the captions, they just want prompts. It just kind of depends. So I have different pricing levels depending on what the client needs as well,
Mhm.
as far as
Yeah,
that goes. For
okay.
my VA services, I do have an hourly rate and a
Mhm.
minimum requirement, which is relatively low, I feel like. And then I'm launching the new packages as well. That
Mhm.
those are set packages.
Yeah. And is that something that if somebody is interested in that kind of stuff, is that something that a lot of people who do this kind of work offer? Is that pretty typical?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. Can you rephrase
So,
it?
so if somebody said, "Hey, I'm looking for a VA," um, is it typical that a VA or a social media manager would have a variety of options, or are most of them just straight up, and you just happen to be more flexible than a lot of them?
It really depends on the person. There are
Okay.
people that are more flexible, like I am, but then there are that are very specific. They'll only do admin duties. They'll only do social media. They'll only do so and so. But I have to say, not everyone is created equal either. There's
Mhm.
a lot of people out there I've noticed that say they're social media managers and they really don't know what they're doing. They haven't really done the research, taken the classes and things to learn the ins and outs. So you really need to get a feel for what they experienced in and things like that.
Mhm.
But also, you need to get along with the person as well. You're working with them very closely. So, a personality thing, kind of like nannying or NCSing, there has to be a fit as far as that goes as well.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. And so if somebody said to you, so I'm totally going to put you on the spot here, Stacey.
okay.
Somebody said to you, so yeah, how do I find out if a social media manager does know what they're doing? If there's people out there who are, kind of faking it, or they think they know what they're doing and they aren't really getting, how do we figure that out?
Yeah. I mean, you can ask them to see accounts that they have managed. You can ask them for, graphics, captions, things like that. Depending on the person, you can ask them if maybe you send them something you've written, a caption, and ask them like, "Hey, would you mind doing fixing this for me or doing one post for me?" and that kind of stuff. You can ask them for analytics that their accounts that they've managed have had and like the kind of reach that they've grown in that way as well. Some of them have portfolios. I don't have a portfolio for that right now, but that's something that some do. It just kind of depends. And also, I feel like when you talk to them, you'll kind of get a feel if they know what they're talking about as well, because it's more than just putting up a pretty picture and writing a caption. There's more to it. You need to have calls to action, you need to have engagement. There's multiple levels. So, and then you can always just try them out and see if maybe they'll let you do month or so to try it out, or
Hmm.
there's different ways to go about it.
Yeah. I will share one tip in addition to all of those, which were fantastic, that I learned kind of the hard way, is if they're showing you marketing results from the work that they do and from their social media, it should be somebody else's, not their own business.
Absolutely.
Because I had a very wise colleague in the tech industry who said, look, marketing companies are really good at marketing their own stuff.
Mhm.
What matters is, are they good at marketing yours?
Exactly.
And so that was a huge thing for me.
See,
So,
it's funny you say that. I feel like I'm the opposite. I'm horrible at doing my own stuff because I'm so focused on my clients' work that I don't make enough time for my own stuff. So my stuff is lacking and everyone else's is growing.
yeah. Well, that's all right because everybody else is growing is what will ultimately help you market yours, right?
Yes, exactly.
For sure. So, well, thank you so much for joining us, Stacey. It's been really informative, and I think our audience is going to learn a lot. So, I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Tanya.
Yeah. So, it has been an honor to have you and to learn from you. And I learn from you every time we talk. So, that's always a good thing. If you have any questions for Stacey about this topic or about working with her, um, put them in the feed and tag Stacey, tag her company, Stellar Lifestyle Management, or tag Newborn Care Solutions, and we'll make sure that Stacey gets those questions. And same thing if you're watching this on replay, feel free to put those tags in there. We'll find them. We'll get you answers to those questions. And if you want to watch this or any other of our past segments, go to our website at newborncaresolutions.com and click on the education tab. And it'll take you to all the past episodes, all of our other free resources, and our classes. Have a great evening, and thank you for joining us.